Hi and welcome to episode 14 of What Am I Listening To and Why? The show where I take the last 6 records I've listened to, I chuck them back on the turntable and give you 2 minutes spiel about what I think about them. This is not the last episode, but I'm not going to be able to do them so regularly for the next little while because I'm a very, very busy man. And basically, my audience figures are kind of falling for the last few weeks because basically you lot have kind of let me down, but you know, them's breaks. Anyway, what have I been listening to this week? Number 1 on the turntable is Led Zeppelin's Song Remains the Same. This is a live album from 1976, recorded at Madison Square Gardens, but recorded in 1973. Now, I believe the band didn't really like this record. It didn't represent them, apparently. Now, I'm not crazy about Led Zeppelin, I make no bones about it. I've never really got there. Oh, actually, it's not true. I do get it, I get the whole rock thing and all that, but I've never really... Every time I listen to Led Zeppelin, I think, what the fuck are they on about? That's really the problem. I don't understand what the band really represent, and all I know that as a kid, growing up in the 70s, they certainly did not represent me, and I blame them for punk rock. But I quite like this record, and but I'm going, looking back at it, I didn't really. I mean, I kind of grew up with it, but at the time, Led Zeppelin just kind of, what are they on about? And I still feel that. What do they sing about? I don't think I'll ever understand it. Originally, this was going to be a TV show, but the manager, Peter Grant, he insisted that they made it into a movie. The movie itself, the live stuff is fine, but it's full of fantasy sequences which really, really suck, and I mean really suck. Half of the live stuff from the movie, you might not know this, is kind of faked up. They went to Shepperton Studios because they had holes in the live recordings that they had, and they built a mock-up of the stage and faked half of it, so that's kind of horrible. John Paul Jones in the faked bits is wearing a wig because he had his hair cut. But I do like this record. If I was going to play a Led Zeppelin album, it's this one that I'd play, and a lot of people are probably like, oh, I know what you're talking about. But I do like it because it's kind of cohesive. It's got songs from all over the place, and it's got one sound, if that makes any sense. I can't really be arsed with Percy Plant's wittering. I find it too high-pitched and annoying. But the rock aspects of it are brilliant. John Bonham sounds amazing. Jimmy Page sounds amazing. If I never heard Stairway to Heaven again, I would be more than happy. This copy I've got here, HMV, $3.99. That shows you how old it is. I'm not often running for Led Zeppelin. If I would run for Led Zeppelin, it'd probably be this record. And I'm going to give it a... God, it's hard. I'm going to give it a 6. That's very generous of me. Record number 2 is Joey Ramone's second solo album called Yano. Joey Ramone, God, I have to explain Joey Ramone, singer from the seminal New York punk band, The Brothers, The Ramones. He made 2 solo albums in his life, and this one was released in 2012. He died in 2001, so it's a posthumous record. It's one of these records that's got everybody on it. Joan Jett, guys from Cheap Trick, everyone's playing on it, And quite a lot of the vocals were taken from demos because Joey had already passed away. It's a nice double LP. This is a lovely set. My son gave me this and I absolutely treasure it. As a record, is it any good? Well, yes and no. The main problem with this album is the fact that everyone playing on it is trying to sound like the Ramones. And I really wish they hadn't done that because it says in the sleeve notes a lot of people were trying to do what they thought Joey would want them to do. But I kind of think he might have wanted them to do something different because what's the point of a Joey Ramone solo album that just sounds like the Ramones? But unfortunately, that's what it is. And it's okay. It's produced by Ed Stasium. Now he produced a lot of, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he produced a lot of Ramones records, and again, as a consequence, it sounds like a later Ramones album with all the hits taken out. There's nothing particularly standout. It's all very well played. It has guitar solos. That's kind of the problem. It's all a bit too well played and a bit too well done. And it falls into the sort of mishmash of being mid-paced rock from start to finish. It definitely lacks light and shade. Everything is kind of, it starts there, it remains there, and it ends there. It's not a terrible record by any means, because Joey Ramone's he's a lovely singer, Joey. He's got two voices. He's got that gruff growl one, which I'm not that keen on, but he's also got that sweet voice that he's doing there, which I love for him. He would have made a great doo-wop singer, or a 50s teen idol. It's a shame this isn't better, but it is what it is, and I would give it a solid 5. When I pulled it out of the sleeve today, there was still static on it, so I haven't played it that much, but I do treasure it. Joey Ramone, Yano. Yeah, it's a 5. Record number 3 is Bongwater, The Power of Pussy. Bongwater, if you don't know who Bongwater are, they're a sort of New York arty-farty duo type band from the late 80s, early 90s. This is the 3rd LP. They were formed by Ann Magnuson and Mark Kramer. If those names mean anything to you, they don't mean anything to me. This is not a party record. Bongwater, The Power of Pussy is not a party record. It is a kind of stoner record, I think. It's called experimental music. Now, I'm going to do this. Experimental music. I'm not a big fan of experimental music as such, because it tends to be a repeat of the same old experiment time and time again with bands like Brian Jonestown Massacres and shite like that. This is a lot better than that. It starts loud and kind of gets quieter and quieter as it goes, but it does have actual content for an experimental music album. It has songs, it has things you will remember, and it'll probably stand a few plays before you start going, eh. It kind of drifts off into that English pastoral prog kind of thing, which you don't expect it. And then other times, it sounds like early Zappa. It's got a lot of little spoken word things between the tracks. And also, it's a little bit dirty. I can't read the same, but it's, you know, it's got some pretty dirty pieces on it. I don't hate it, and actually, I've got another Bongwater album. It's a double album. I can't remember the title. It's not nearly as good as this. Again, don't put it on when your folks are around and expect them to be doing the twist on the carpet. No. This is definitely a stoner album. You can play it in the background. You can play it in the bath. I would give it. I'd give it a 6.5. I've listened to it twice today, and I enjoyed it the second time more. So 6.5, possibly a 7. If you're enjoying these videos, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share them about, and comment. The Spotify playlist for everything I'm talking about today will be up there in the description if you want to have a listen yourself and challenge my opinion. So I'd love to hear. I mean, I really would love to hear what you think. Okay, record number 1, 2, 3. Record number 4 is Buggles, The Plastic Age. This is the first LP of Buggles. They made 2. You would know them from the track "Video Killed the Radio Star," but they made 2 records. Trevor Horn and Jeff Downs were the duo, who went on to join Yes, the prog band Yes. You can believe it or not. This is a kind of gateway record to the 80s. It's very sort of interesting for that. Where this record walked, everyone else would kind of follow, although it comes from Kraftwerk, blah 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 blah. But this is kind of this shows you what's going to happen in the 80s, and that's because the 80s was mostly made to happen by Trevor Horn himself. They got the name Buggles because they wanted something to sound like the Beatles. Kind of works. I don't know. Yeah. A lot of people cite this album as being, you know, really important to them, Daft Punk and various other things. And I get that. Nothing on it is as good as Video Killed the Radio Star. And the problem is that Video Killed the Radio Star was a big hit. And that's all they had. So once they had that hit, they had to rush away and write and make this whole album very, very quickly. But they must have had songs, because a lot of songs are really good on here. Plastic Age is a brilliant single as well. I really, really like this album. It's Trevor Horn says it's a concept album. I don't know what about plastic bags or something, I don't know. Futuristic was how it was described. Futuristic's always a hard thing because it's futuristic often sounds old-fashioned straight after the future, if you know what I mean. This album is still playable without feeling that, and I think it's because it hasn't got big fucking giant snare drums on it, which a lot of the 80s albums did. There's a nice little nod to Joe Meek in there in a song. If you know the song Johnny Remember Me that Joe Meek did, there's a track on here that kind of steals that chorus and has it in there, and it made me smile. Plastic Age, Bubbles? Plastic Age by Bubbles the Monkey. Plastic Age by Buggles. I like it. It slips by nicely on the turntable and causes me no pain. I'll give it a strong 6. Really enjoyable. Record number 5 might have a lot of you wincing. This is the Police debut album, Outlandish d'Amour. Now, for the purposes of this review, can we just pretend that Sting, the insufferable, pompous bore, does not exist, okay, in the form that we know him now? Let's just go on the actual goodness or badness of this record on its own without worrying about this arse, okay? Now, this is a very, very strong debut LP. It's the definition of a power three-piece. Stuart Copeland, Andy Summers, incredible players doing original stuff. Supposedly a white reggae crossover thing, but yeah, but no, but yeah, but no, but sort of. They were playing in a very, very original way and making Stink's songs sound really amazing. I've loved this record since it came out. I played it since I was a teenager, and I still chuck it on now and again. They never bettered it. They got worse and worse from this point on. If you haven't read Andy Summers' his biography, it's fantastic. His autobiography, it's just a great piece of writing. This whole album was recorded for £1,500, and it was originally going to be called Police Brutality. Don't do that! Instead of Outlandish d'Amour, which I believe stands for, it's even worse, Outlaws of Love. Managed by Miles Copeland. I think his pushing and shoving and his obnoxious American way was what took the Police to where they are. I forget how good it is. £1,500 well spent, and it's. I must have listened to it at least a couple of times a year since it was made, and I still chuck it on every now and again. Don't judge it harshly. Just listen to it as a really amazing piece of new wave. It's a great piece of new wave, that's what it is. They came flying in on the punk rock boat, thought, we'll jump on that, and quite right. They've been floating around with a guitarist called Henry Padovani and making shite kind of punk singles written by Stewart. And it wasn't until Andy Summers who came into the thing, and he'd been on the scene for like 20 years before that. He played in the Animals with Eric Burdon. He's like 110 now. It wasn't until he came in and the whole thing gelled. This is a great debut LP, fantastic. It's an 8. Final record today, record number 6, is a great piece of work. This is Frank Zappa's Reuben and the Jets from 1968. Frank says himself, well, this is a sort of 50s pastiche kind of doo-wop album, and there's a little bubble on the thing that gives away what it is. It says, this is the Mothers of Invention recording under a different name in a last-ditch attempt to get their cruddy music on the radio. Last-ditch attempt in 1968. Anyway, it kind of worked. They did get a couple of singles on the radio, and until people realised this was Frank Zappa, they kind of got away with it in a sense. This is not the original press. I think this is the second press, because here Frank added a little sticker thing that says "The Mothers of Invention." Apparently, until that went on there, this record did quite well on the radio stations. It's got a great picture of Frank on the back. That's meant to be Reuben. Reuben and the Jets did actually become a real band later on. I think Frank Zappa recorded an album for them. But it's a really lovely piece of, it's a homage. It's a homage to 50s doo-wop, which I love anyway. This was part of a group of 4 albums: Lumpy Gravy, We're Only In It For The Money, I think it was Uncle Meat. They were all grouped together, and Frank called them the group of no commercial potential. In between the bits of doo-wop, it slides into little pieces of Stravinsky, and there's a track called Anything on here, which has just an incredible saxophone solo, something that I don't normally like, but I absolutely love. Zappa, he really hated all the love lyrics from doo-wop songs, even though he was a huge fan of doo-wop. So what he wrote here was what he called sub-mongoloid words. Sub-mongoloid words for this album. But I love it. I love the whole package. Looks a little bit like the Beatles in there. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very glad to have it. This is, God, this is a 9. This is today's winner. Reuben and the Jets, 1968, by the Mothers of Invention. Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Thank you very much for watching today. I don't know if there'll be one, religiously every Saturday, but I'll do them now and again. Depends on how the audience goes. If people are liking it, then great, I'll do it. If people are not liking it, then I'll give up. I don't mind. I've got other shit to do. Share it. That's once I'm going to say it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Love you. I love you so much.